For me, women are one of the most beautiful forces in the world. They are warm, empathic, strong, ambitious, and determined. They live life intensely, laughing and crying with the same passion, celebrating wins, and learning from setbacks. And even when they're not all of these things at once, they know that's okay. Women are everywhere: mothers, sisters, teachers, doctors, business leaders, and many of them are shaping the future of fintech and financial services. The unsung heroes we're here to celebrate. Hi everyone, I'm Mirela Ciobanu, lead editor with the Paypers, where we're launching the Women at the Forefront of Payments video series to spotlight incredible women who are driving innovation in fintech. Today I'm joined by Marjan Delatinne, SVP Business Development, Digital Asset Holdings, an inspiring, knowledgeable, and creative leader who will share her insights on what strength and success really mean, pivotal career moments and lessons learned, diversity in the industry. Hi, Marjan. How are you?
Hi, thank you, Miriam. Very nice opening, inspiring, I would say, because now the expectations are high. So I'm really pleased to be here today, and I'm really grateful that you consider me among one of these women. So that's a great honor. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm so happy that you accepted our invitation because you made a strong impression on me from our first date. I remember when we met a few years ago at Money 2020 when I was in my beginnings at the Papers. And yeah, I love the power the way you delivered the message, and I love the know-how that you have in payments and distributed ledger technology. So let's start. Yeah. And talking about, going a bit back, I'm curious to know if there was any defining moment that shaped your career. And if you had that moment, how did you recognize it? And what advice would you give to the others to make sure they don't miss this moment?
Well, I think this is a very philosophical question, right? Because the way I see career, I can't separate career from our society, that it is somehow creating the notion of career. And the societies, our environment, our education, our family, many different things that get together to condition us as a human being behind this society. So I think what I have seen for the people that, to me at least, they have inspired me as a people that they know what is a career and they continue their career is typically a series of patterns. And one of these patterns is consistency. And this is always going back to the human, that it is in its constant change and how to manage and how a human being learn to respond to changes. And I think what is very important in responses is the consistency. Because throughout the consistency, I think human beings understand to know what is their passions. And once you know what is your passion, and if you're a hard worker, then the career would be a natural finality and continuity of your life, right? So career to me is not necessarily wealth or success as such. I think career is just understanding how best you can adapt yourself to the change and how best you can inspire and take others with you. Others is your family, is your friends, is your colleagues, and is to your society. But obviously, this is a very, I would say, conceptual way of looking at careers. To me, as someone that has origins from Iran and had to leave my country when I was 18, I think the pivotal moment was that the change will be inherent part of my life. and the best is to how to adapt to this change and use change as an advantage of evolution. I'm not definitively saying that I have managed, but I think this line has been very interesting for me. So coming back to that, and I think this theme will come in the rest of the conversation, is that I started in a country like Norway that I didn't know the language, but a series of adaptation that I had to do, And I was lucky to get to one of these big schools in business administration. And this is really where people go to be successful and create careers. But after 3 years, I really realized that careers, or at least loving something that you need to do the whole life without knowing the human being that are behind these careers and behind society, is difficult. So then I diverged to psychology, and I spent many years to understand different orientation of psychology in terms of how human being is defined and how could evolve. And something that happened is that when I started to practice as a psychologist, the things that I really learned, and I think this helps me throughout the life, is the active listening. Because as a psychologist, you are asked to come, or at least push the people that have issues and real issues to go further and resolve their problems. So your listening should be very important in terms of giving direction. I realized that some of these problems are so deep that it's difficult to change and would require someone more patient than me. So then I moved back to my old love, that was business. And I said, business is basically society, people who contribute to the society to create wealth and value. And you have both sides. You have the clients and you have the people who deliver services. So I think it was a natural choice. So it was just about what is the passion really about building a career. I think then it continues, because if you work hard, and if you know where you want to go, and every day is a self-appraisal of, am I going to the right direction? Then the life is a continuity, and you won't even look at it as a career. Is the best way that you can drive your life. So I think for any people, any person, and this is very difficult. Most of the people, they are so much blocked in their prisons, and these prisons are a lot of conditioning and lack of self-confidence, that they cannot find this passion. And then you have people that are frustrated, and of course, the worst case, you see these people after many years in a psychiatric hospital. So you see, I think what I learned, at least, is that how you can bring as a human being a value, at least when you are working in a business. And one of the major things is always to bring value to clients, is how you can listen better to what the clients want in order to bring it back to your company. In any company that you are, this is possible. There are always resistances to listen to what clients want, because we want to continue just the way we are. But I think if you manage to bridge the gap, you are a successful person, because you have created a value. So I really look at the career in this sense.
Yeah, that's interesting that indeed you focus more on this idea. Career is a path, is not a pivotal moment that I suggested. And then it's nice that this path is a journey of becoming that includes, here referring to advice, responding to change, consistency, active listening, put passion in what you do, contribute to society. And yeah, it was interesting that another follow-up question for me prepared was, oh, what happens if I miss the pivotal moment in my career? Is it too late to redefine my career? But you answer to it, because there is not such a moment. It's always a journey of learning, becoming, active listening. So no worries for people that feel they don't have their pivotal moment, because there is still time to create momentum around what career should mean. Okay, in a way you kind of answered a bit my next question, but now I would like to narrow it to, let's say, our payment industry. Because on LinkedIn you mentioned that your leadership approach is built on three core principles: empowering diverse and talented teams, prioritizing client satisfaction that you mentioned before with active listening, and embracing change as a catalyst for growth. How did you develop these principles, and why do you consider them essential? And for businesses that would like to apply them, how can they integrate in their businesses?
Well, I think I was really lucky to work in organizations that are very critically important in the finance. So I worked for two big organizations like Euroclear in the capital market and Swift. And then the rest the rest of my career, I would say the work that I have done has been a kind of replication of this network context through a new technology. So I think there has been this continuity that's helped me to continue and be passionate about it. But I think the reason I was thinking about is it's like a system. If you look at a network, there is always a single point, but then you have many users, right? And this is a value of any network. Facebook is the same. Look at any network in the world, in our society or in finance. I think what I learned, and I was lucky, is to really look at the macro finance, right? How the payments and the capital market actually are built. What are the different layers? And when you get to all these layers to see, okay, how a payment at the end is final and is moving from one account to another, these are the way of looking at the world in a global way, in a holistic way. And when you look at the holistic way, then you have, again, the equation of humans everywhere. You have humans that need to work with you, right? You have humans that need to understand it. And working with people is about working in the mindset of people. You don't work with these not machines. Of course, now we learn to work with AI, but we see the limitation because we are working with a machine. But human beings is a mix of many different things. So I think the concept of centrally being human and human in both sides of the equation, the one that's asked for something and is ready to pay for a value, and those who build it. Again, I'm coming back to the same thing, is that you need to bring both sides along. And one of the catalysts, I think, that move any society, and to me, is change. And change is, of course, is a very basic things because we change every day. But the change in a way that I worked, at least the companies that I worked, and I learned a lot, was driven by regulations, driven by financial market infrastructure moving to these new processes. And when you're working in a company like Swift, you are exposed to a change that will impact 11,000 financial institutions. So the way that you think about change is very different. And I think, to me, the change is the way that if you manage it right, with the whole consensus that you need to bring among both sides of the equation, is the best way to move things towards, a next stage or evolution or success at the end. But I think evolution to me is really the trend. And I think that's why when I left Euroclear, coming from a business and moving to Swift, for me, it was a very big move because Swift is technology. It's probably the oldest fintech in the world. So, and I'm not a technologist. I know human brain, but it's different than technology. So it was a real fear, and I had to really take time to overcome these fears. When you are talking to engineers and people who are building systems, and you are just a psychologist or a business person, you have to understand it. But what I really learned is throughout the change, you need to prepare the mindsets. And the mindset is not only your clients, but it's your colleagues as well. And I think the people that are the leaders that have always impressed me are the people that are very conscious of the change and how the mindset and how the ownership of, owning a change should be with everybody. And they spend lots of time in this part. And DLC, coming back to what is decentralized world, actually is this. We are shifting the world through a technology that it is shifting as well. All our processes, our roles. AI is the same thing. So we have to learn how to manage that. And learn is by education, right? And education means time that you spend inside and outside to make ready this change throughout the adherence of everybody to this change. So I think that's why I'm really coming back to very basics of our history and the things that we have learned, and they are applicable in any kind of initiatives, and more importantly, in a new technology.
Yeah, and mentioning about new technologies, decentralized technologies, and you've been actively involved in this space. What is a project or a product you've been worked on in this area that you are most proud of? What it made it meaningful, and yeah, what did you learn from it that others can apply?
Honestly, I'm not a proud as such to be, so I won't comment about proudness about something, but I think what I have like many of my project, but I think the one that I was personally very much involved was the regulated liability network, because this was really coming from a white paper that's was at very conceptual, a very beginning of something. And I had to really think about how to take this in my organization at that time and make it happen or get it done.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. Because to me, I'm very much result driven, so it should work. It should be actionable. And I think this experience was very interesting. But this was again, creating a community, bringing this message across to those who have to buy into it, right? And then internally, the organization to get ready for it, right? Because it was just a white paper without any longevity, right? So it's a risk. So when you are putting the risk on your organization is always, challenging. So you have to be very mindful of what the risk. But I think that was very interesting, especially that I have no really technology background, but really getting to managing a project end to end, making sure that the things are happening, and also the support that you need to get from partners. And this led me to work now for my new company, actually, that it is building a new network. So I think it's really creating a kind of challenge, or at least a mental challenge that push you to think all the time. And this is something that I really like in evolving in the view of evolution in life, because
Yeah.
thinking honestly is the most basic thing that every human has, but we sometimes tend to lose it or forget about it.
Yeah, I made lots of notes here regarding what are your strengths, what is your advice, and I noticed that there is this dominant of um, don't fight change, embrace it, adapt to it, and make part of this education, thinking, mindset. So, to sum up or to conclude our interview, initially I would, have focused on what is a mindset shift that you would suggest for others to apply in their life to significantly improve their career and personal growth. But now I want to force you a bit to give a more, let's say, tangible example of a habit or routine that you have that helps you, to adapt to change, or change your mindset, or be present, or do active listening. I don't know what is a recipe that you apply.
Well, I think probably is a good recipe is that in order to embrace change, to me, you need to like to to solve problems. I think this is about changing, right? I am not afraid of having problems, right?
Okay.
I like having problems because to me, problems is the way that it helps you to think how you can solve it. So what I like, I always enjoy, and I think it's we sometimes think that everything should be perfect and everything should be without any obstacles, but life is not like that. So the more you are aware of the obstacles and you are not afraid of obstacles, but rather you are coldly looking at obstacles and trying to solve this or, remove them. I think this is a pattern to me that helps to move and to
Yeah, yeah.
adapt and to respond to what are the challenges out of our human being.
Yeah, I'm curious. Do you meditate, run, have favorite books, have favorite films?
Yeah,
Because
I really, my therapy is music.
okay,
I think this is really when, if I want to really evade completely from life, is music, and I think music in any form, very serious classical form to the very, uh, pop music. Um, if you train your brain to move with the music, it's not necessarily dancing, but it's really getting this motion of the music into your brain, I think is a very good therapy.
oh, great. I'm so happy that in the end, yeah, we also managed to have, yeah, a therapy that we can apply in our career and personal growth. And indeed, yeah, yeah, music usually is really, really inspiring. I remember it was from a book from Hermann Hesse, The Steppenwolf. It was a moment when the main character was a bit down, but he was so happy that we have art, music, and everything related to this environment, because for a moment, if you are into this environment, you feel like a god.
Exactly.
So yeah, like you mentioned here with the music. Marjan, always it's a pleasure to talk with
Exactly.
you. You inspire me and you bring joy, actually. Also this, that's why I was also curious, yeah, what are your secrets? Because all the time you have this contagious laugh. And I'm sure that our audience is also, yeah, smiling, if not laughing. And yeah, we look forward to continue our discussion for in the future meetings.
Mira, you inspire me a lot as well.
Oh, thank you.
Keep the good job going. Take care. Thank you.
Thanks.
Cheers.